your martial arts movie podcast.
Haha! I threw that shit before I walked in the room!
Featuring drunken Thai boxer Will.
Too bad you will die.
The also drunken wrestler Mark.
I said I don't want trouble!
And drunken karate master Zero.
You've lost your balls.
And now,
I know Kung Fu. You know, baby.
Fists of Fail. Happy June, everybody! It's hey, we're ditching the themes for a month, at least for a month. I don't know how long we're gonna keep this up for.
We have a theme lined up for July, actually. So
for July, yes.
Yes. So this is our 2021 martial arts movie catch up.
Yeah,
I guess you could say
written on our whiteboard right here.
I keep forgetting you write shit behind you.
I actually have a whiteboard, and for those who want to see the whiteboard, you can follow us on YouTube and find it that way. But yeah, I have written up here that June is the new release recap month. I guess I don't know. It's not a very creative name. But even though we're talking about a movie today that came out 2 years ago. Right.
Technically, yeah, it came out in China in 2019, but it's what is it? I think Well Go is releasing it this coming week. It's been on the Haiya streaming service as well. So if you don't have access to Chinese VPNs or you don't want to, import Chinese DVDs, then you had to wait until now.
Yeah, this is one of those movies that you need to watch. Is that the consensus that we are both landing on? We didn't talk about this movie before we started recording, so I don't know if I'm being sarcastic.
What are we talking about today?
We're talking about
Undercover Brother?
Undercover versus Undercover.
你签了之后，就可以做回一名真正的警察。这个案子还没有完。
Undercover vs. Undercover, which is the original title, or Undercover Punch and Gun, which stars Philip Ng and Vanessa Wu. Do you know where Vanessa Wu is from, Zero?
Vanessa Wu is a Taiwanese actor.
Yeah.
But that is the extent of what I know about him.
Do you remember Ip Man 4? Our ever so acclaimed Ip Man 4 episode that everyone loves.
The one that everyone hates.
Yeah. No, everyone loves that one.
Because I was not there, and I'll keep on reiterating that.
That's right. Remember there was this character that was trying to emphasize Chinese Kung Fu in the military?
Oh, that was him?
Yeah, that was Venice Wu, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's very different looking with the longer hair and the baggy clothes and
they made him look like a California gangbanger.
Yeah, I think he is from California. He's American Taiwanese, so yeah, you're not that far off.
Okay.
And Philip Ng, we haven't talked about him before, but I think he was in Birth of a Dragon, where he played like Bruce Lee in that film. I never actually watched that film. I'm wondering if that's something that's worth covering one day, but
why don't you tell us if it is?
Yeah, any listeners listening in, let us know. But I mean, this is actually my first outing actually watching him like full force while being the main character, and I actually think that he has a lot of action chops to him. And that's basically where the good and bad of the movie kind of end for me. The rest is kind of like, why did I sit through this? I don't know.
So yeah, I told you to watch this, and you actually got around to watching it before I did. Yes. So when you said, "Hey, yeah, we can talk about this movie," I thought, "Oh, okay, it must be decent, must be in some sort of acceptable sort of viewing material." And I watched it last night, and oh my god, what? Why did we follow up Unbeatable with this movie? Like,
we're going back to the martial arts trope, the martial arts format. This is definitely what I would consider a martial arts movie. And that aspect, it's pretty good. For our format, the way that we like to break down martial arts movies, like break down the action, talk about the technicals, what works, what doesn't, there's plenty to talk about. The movie is not good. That's basically how I feel about the whole experience. It's just, it doesn't start off that way. I feel like when it starts off, it has some hiccups. I don't think it's perfect. As the movie goes along, it just feels like there's just no cohesion. Everything's like a mess.
You remember that weird auto-tune meme song, like hide your kids, hide your wife?
Vaguely. Okay.
There's a line in that song when he's like, you are so dumb. You are so dumb. And they repeat it over and over again. And I don't know. As I was watching this movie, that line just kept on looping in my head. Like, you are so dumb. This movie is so dumb.
So dumb, so dumb, so dumb, so dumb.
I don't have adjectives to put to
Dumb.
describe this
No,
movie. Yeah, okay, fine, dumb.
It's very dumb.
Dumb is like one thing where it's like it'd be kind of fun if it was like dumb fun, where I would think that the action's just kind of like all over the place, or like the storytelling's all over the place, and I can't kind of laugh at the film. I don't really do that with this movie. Some of the times I'm just like nodding off, or like my eyes are glazing over. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's the movie or if it's just my attention span, but there's something about this movie that I just can't exactly pinpoint why it doesn't make me fully engage with it, even though there's a lot of shit happening sometimes. Do you follow what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I kind of get a sense of what you're saying. So, can you tell me what this movie is about? This is where like the dumb just comes out for me. I was trying to think about what this movie is about, and I don't know.
Is this rhetorical, or do you actually not know?
I watched this a second time, and I still, I felt liquid coming out of my ears while watching this movie.
Yeah. Well, the basic premise, which should have been the beginning and the end of it, is the main character is an undercover cop. Mm-hmm. He infiltrates the drug kingpin, and he's like, I guess he should be continuing to dive deeper into the seedy underbelly of crime and try to bring down the whole drug ring or whatever. Mm-hmm. That should just be the end of it, but it gets kind of messy because there's like another guy played by Andy On who like is like the real mastermind, but also he has like someone who's trying to kill him who's like on the other side of him, and I don't actually know. And then at the same time, there's like the cops who are siding with the main character who want him to dive deeper. I don't know where any of the allegiances are. I get kind of confused at that, and there's too many parties involved, right? Like,
yeah. There's way too many characters, and I think they're going along the lines of the fact that this is an undercover sting operation sort of movie. So who's the mole? Who's really undercover? And characters appear out of nowhere, and I'm just like, who is that? What is the importance of them?
Yeah.
And I didn't care about anybody. Oh my God. Like everybody in this movie was just so...
Yeah.
I kept on thinking of Unbeatable in that, like, what am I watching? Like, I don't like anybody in this movie. Everyone's just kind of there going along with emotions. But I will say, I was kind of warming up to the movie a little bit during certain times because the movie is kind of self-aware that it's dumb.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. What's his name? Van Ness Wu?
Van Ness Wu, yeah. I actually don't know how to pronounce that.
So when you first meet his character, I think his name is Tiger. Mm-hmm. He is one of those characters that I assumed, oh my God, he is going to be the annoying comic relief, and I'm going to hate him the entire movie, and I'm going to wish him to die, like in every single time he shows up on screen. And he started to fill that prophecy for me. Like every time I saw him, I was just like, oh God, this guy's so annoying. But then he started getting so annoying to the point where it was looping around, and I was laughing at everything he was doing because he was just so obnoxious on screen.
I think that's called a mental break, Zero. I think I think you just like cracked.
I think that's what happened. Like he started annoying me, but then he started annoying the characters at that point. Like it was no longer just annoying me. Like he realized what he was doing and he started annoying the actual characters in the story. And I think that's where I kind of warmed up to his character.
You warmed up to it? Oh man, you are way more forgiving than I am. That moment where he's singing and dancing as if he's doing it for a camera, but there's no camera involved. You know which one I'm talking about. You're
talking about like at the end,
like
of
more,
the film,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we're not gonna break down every single scene. Well, all you need to know is like he needs to do something. He pretend like he knows how to make a cook, like Walter White.
Apparently that was a parody of like some Taiwanese cooking videos or something like that.
I don't care. Well, it went on too long. It went on way too long. I was like, oh my god, like I get it. He's a comedian. Ha 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 ha. Huh. But like at that point, I think I was like, all right, I need this character to like die.
Well, that's what I was thinking of him the first part of the movie, and then he just became so annoying that I don't know, he came around for me.
You know who's I actually found more annoying than him was this is gonna sound kind of mean and mean-spirited, is Andy On, who plays the villain.
Oh God, he was I don't know if he was annoying. I was confused by him a lot.
What do you mean by that? Because I have my reasons. Mine are more superficial.
So this movie was written by 5 different people. And
I couldn't tell. It doesn't feel like
5
a mess. Different
people could not save this mess of a script.
Let's talk very briefly about the action as a whole, because it's not bad. That's probably the only reason why I would say like this is worthy of talking about, because the action is generally pretty good at times, right? Like it's probably one of the better ones of recent years.
Right? Yeah, I was actually surprised because it felt very, very B movie in terms of the story and the acting. It felt very not lowbrow, very just kind of cheap at times, and kind of as an afterthought in terms of how they were trying to build the characters and write this story.
Yeah.
But then when it gets to the action, I thought, oh, okay, this is it's pretty competent. I've never seen Philipping. Mm-hmm. I've never seen anything he's action directed because he's starring and he action directed this, which I think is pretty impressive.
Right.
And the action, I would say, was simple, was very well shot, but it felt effective at the same time.
Everything you said is very true. The action is pretty astounding at times. It's not mind-blowing, but it's, compared to the fare of action movies that we've been getting of recent years, it's, this is definitely of higher quality. It doesn't change the fact that the movie is just a complete mess. And I try to veer towards the positive. I somehow ended up back being like, hey, remember like the love interest character? That was pointless.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah,
really
Philip Ng has the main character has a love interest who is like the daughter of the mob boss, and spoiler, something happens to her, and it's like come. It's supposed to be like a dramatic moment, and I don't give a shit. Like I really don't. Like there's also like human trafficking involved with the drug trafficking as well.
Yeah, there's like a D plot with girls getting trafficked on a boat.
Yeah, but all of them die.
Yeah. Oh God, that was really really bad.
It's like I like. All right, so I made this in my notes when I was watching this movie. The movie's tonal shifts are extreme. Like they're all over the place. One dramatic scene will be interspliced with like a joke, but like out of nowhere, and then it's back to serious. And then next thing you know, it's tension filled. There's action going on, and it's back to like a drama. And then there's throughout the whole movie is the Whiplash soundtrack. in the background, just like
man.
nonstop jazz.
Yeah, that's where some of the action kind of threw me off a little more towards a negative, because experimental jazz, free-flowing jazz during a Hong Kong action movie it kind of worked, but it mostly felt out of place for me.
Yeah, for sure. Well, as someone who's a fledgling, trying to get into jazz more, I think that it kind of works at times. Like, oh, it really is experimental, like you said. But yeah, it's also like, I've never seen this before. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe have something a little bit more conventional. I don't know. It's not. Yeah, I don't exactly know how to feel about that. But when I think about the action, I think about jazz, and that's not normally something I think about when I think action movies.
Right. Yeah. If somebody told me that when Philippin was doing the fight choreography, if he said that it was all impromptu and nothing was choreographed and they just did it on the fly, and then they said that's why we decided to put jazz on top of it, I would say, oh, okay, that thematically makes sense to me. That's a kind of neat thing. But I don't believe that's the case. This looks like it was choreographed and thought out.
Yeah,
and all that fun stuff.
买我送他。
This movie's stupid.
I told you, it's dumb.
I mean, like, I agreed. I agree with you, but yeah, it has like a lot going wrong with it, but at the same time, the action's not bad.
Yeah, the action is pretty good. So just to go back a little bit for the final fight, one of the things that you can tell where it's just not going to be about choreography anymore, and I've mentioned this in many episodes. Once you start going into slow motion during like the last fight, that's how like it's just supposed to be emotional at that point. It just turns into a slugfest. You're not really looking at fancy choreography. It's just like, oh, the characters are really giving it their all. They're giving it the old 1-2, trying to defeat the villain, and it's just, that's it.
Right.
And that's the last fight of Undercover.
Well, it's a good thing, Undercover Punch and Gun, yeah. It's a good thing we love the characters. It's a good thing we love the characters so much because, I definitely feel for their emotions that they're going through.
Not at all, no.
Yeah, no, not at all. So, Zero, do you recommend... I can't even ask that question with a straight face. Why don't you recommend this movie? And why
don't I recommend it?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. Well, it's weird. I kind of liked watching this movie. Like, as I was watching this movie and I started to realize how dumb it was, I started to enjoy it a little more. I went to the fridge, I got some beers, and so I really, really started enjoying it at that point because I was just kind of laughing at the movie, but I felt the movie was handing me things for it to laugh at. Like it's a little self-aware at times, and it's not dumb enough though. Like it needed to go off the deep end, and it doesn't, unfortunately. There's moments where you can tell, like, okay, this is trying to be cute, like the drift, the Tokyo drifting grandma, the what's his name, Venice Wu doing the video cooking show. That stuff is all wink at the camera, and they're really trying to be cute, and it needed to just be stupid. It needed to be full on like idiocracy.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, like I said, the tonal shifts. It's like it doesn't know what kind of movie it wants to be. Sometimes it's like, it goes just enough there, but not far enough where I feel like, it really leans into the camp territory. So yeah, I wish it did more of that. I don't know. So Zero, would you recommend the fights, or would you recommend just the movie? You recommend the movie, right?
Right. Yeah. This you kind of have to watch if you're gonna watch this. You gotta really know this is not the best story. There's lots of things you question out loud while you're watching the movie. This is kind of interesting in that when we talk about action we like, a lot of times it's Hong Kong action movies, right? 80s and 90s stuff. And I believe this is a Hong Kong movie, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And this is 2019. I can't recall the last Hong Kong action movie I've seen in a while, like a recent one. Because a lot of the action movies have shifted to mainland China, and I don't really I feel that the Hong Kong movie scene has slowed down considerably.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was kind of
international market.
Yeah, it was kind of neat to see this because it's been a while since I've seen a Hong Kong action movie. So I think in that respect, you can check it out. It's not like its predecessors, but it is still very competently made and shot where I was entertained by the action. So I think in that regard, you can check out the action.
Yeah, I think you can totally watch this movie without the movie. Just watch the fights. Like, absolutely. You don't need the context, because, like, even watching it with context, I'm like, that didn't help. Because this movie actually does feel like they made the fight scenes first, and then they cobbled up the story second. And it is almost like what I would imagine being like a love letter to action fanatics, right? Or people who love traditional Hong Kong action movies, martial arts movies. And it's not entirely like that, but I do like that where it's like a return to form. It's like Hong Kong was known for its martial arts movies. Here's something of more recent years that's kind of like that, and at least we get some semblance of the good old days here. It's not perfect, but the action's pretty good, and that's what sold me and made me think this is the movie that we should check out this week. Even though the movie itself is pretty appalling at times. But it's fine. The movie is pretty solid. The fight scenes are pretty solid. Go check out the fights. The movie, not at all. Nah, I don't recommend the movie. Watch them on YouTube or check it out on Haya if you're really that desperate. But I can end this with my favorite experience with this movie, because I did not enjoy it. I had to watch it sober. I couldn't enjoy it the same way that you did. So I watched this movie with my dad. I put it like as of my final viewing. I was like, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna watch this movie from beginning to end. So I put the movie on. We got about like 30 minutes in, and my dad, his setup at home is he has his own box where he can watch his own television shows, and he just assumed that I put on this movie by using the box that he had, not knowing that I really put in the movie like through streaming services onto the television. So he's like taking up his remote. He's pressing. He's like, "Why can't I change the channel?" he's like, "Son, why can't I change the channel? Is something wrong with the box?" I'm like, "No, Dad, that's not coming from your box." He's like, "Well, change it. This movie's terrible." And that was my experience with this movie.
And that we got to get your dad's review on more of these movies sometimes.